To determine whether a baby's sudden hysterical laughter at absolutely nothing is just random cuteness or something far deeper, you first have to watch it happen in real time. Picture this. It's 3 a.m. The house is completely silent, and your 6-month-old is lying in the crib, eyes wide open, staring at an empty corner of the ceiling or the slowly spinning fan. Then, without any warning, they explode into peals of belly laughter so pure, infectious, and unstoppable that it sounds like they've just heard the funniest joke. Most parents freeze in place, smile in confusion, maybe even laugh along nervously while wondering whether they should check the baby monitor for ghosts. But developmental neuroscientists have spent the last 15 years meticulously mapping exactly what is exploding inside that tiny brain during those midnight giggle fits. And what they discovered doesn't just explain baby laughter. It fundamentally rewires how we understand joy, prediction, surprise, learning, and the very origins of human humor itself. Let's start with the obvious theory. Babies laugh because something tickles them, or because they're gassy, or because their brain is simply firing random happy signals. It sounds logical at first. Newborns do have immature digestive systems and unpredictable reflexes that can trigger sudden outbursts. But here's the problem with that overly simple explanation. By 4 months old, genuine social laughter clearly emerges. Laughter that only happens in response to another person's face, voice, or playful actions. And by 6 months, babies are laughing hardest at things that aren't physically funny at all. A silly face you make for the 10th time, a toy that falls over in the exact same predictable way every day, or, most mysteriously, nothing visible to anyone else in the room. That isn't gas or random neural firing. That is a remarkably sophisticated cognitive and emotional choice. In 2018, a team at the University of California, Berkeley published a groundbreaking study in the journal Current Biology. They tracked infants from 3 to 9 months using high-density EEG caps during natural, everyday play sessions. What they measured wasn't just laughter volume or duration. They were tracking something called prediction error signals, tiny, powerful bursts of dopamine that light up the reward centers when the brain encounters something surprising yet perfectly safe. The results stunned the entire field. Babies didn't laugh at random. They laughed hardest and longest when their expectations were gently violated in a predictable, caregiver-supported way. A parent making an exaggerated boo face or pretending to drop a toy. Massive, delighted laughter. The same routine delivered by a stranger? Often only mild confusion or no response at all. The researchers concluded that infant laughter is far from mindless joy. It is the brain's elegant, built-in way of safely practicing uncertainty, surprise, and rapid learning in the most supportive environment possible. But here's where it gets even stranger and more fascinating. Babies don't laugh at everyone the same way. Researchers at Yale's Child Study Center ran a cleverly designed experiment in 2020. They showed 6-month-olds 2 videos side by side, one of their primary caregiver making silly sounds and faces, and one of a stranger performing the exact same routine. The infants laughed almost twice as long and intensely at their own caregiver. Cognitive scientists call this the familiarity bias. By this age, babies have already logged thousands of hours of intimate micro-interactions with that one familiar face. Every raised eyebrow, every goofy voice, every predictable pause or silly gesture has been carefully cataloged deep in their developing brain. When the familiar person breaks the established pattern just right, surprising them in a safe, loving way, the baby's brain lights up with the perfect neurochemical cocktail of surprise and security, producing that genuine, contagious laughter we all love so much. Even more intriguing, researchers at MIT's Brain and Cognitive Sciences Lab discovered that these laughter episodes trigger the same powerful interbrain synchrony observed in eye contact studies. Using functional near-infrared spectroscopy, they found that when a baby locks eyes with a parent and suddenly bursts into laughter, their prefrontal cortex and the parents begin firing in near-perfect rhythmic harmony. The baby isn't merely reacting to humor. They are actively inviting the adult into a shared emotional state. Your responsive laughter becomes a powerful reward signal that teaches their rapidly developing brain a crucial lesson. This unpredictable world is fun, safe, and deeply rewarding when we explore it together with someone we trust. Now I want to tell you about an experiment that was so emotionally intense it still gets cited in nearly every developmental psychology textbook today. It's called the still face with humor recovery variation, an extension of the classic still face paradigm. A mother plays happily and playfully with her infant, making funny faces, tickling gently, and eliciting big, joyful laughs. Then, on cue, she goes completely blank. No expression, no response, just a neutral, still face. The baby immediately tries everything in their repertoire: bigger smiles, louder giggles, frantic waving, and exaggerated babbling to re-engage her. Nothing works. Within 60 seconds, most infants stop laughing entirely. Some look confused or distressed. Others grow quiet and turn away in withdrawal. But here's the powerful twist that later studies revealed. When the mother suddenly breaks the still face with an over-the-top silly expression or sound, the baby doesn't just smile. They often explode into the longest, most intense, and most relieved laughter of the entire session. Dr. Ed Tronick, who pioneered this groundbreaking work, summarized his decades of observation beautifully. Laughter is not just an emotion, it is a sophisticated repair mechanism. The baby is using humor to test the strength of the emotional connection, then celebrating wildly when it snaps back into place even stronger than before. There's one more important layer that almost no one discusses outside specialized research circles, and it involves what babies are actually building during all those unexplained giggles. Longitudinal studies from the University of Washington following hundreds of infants over several years show that babies who engage in more frequent, responsive laughter exchanges in the first 9 months develop measurably stronger neural connections in the anterior cingulate cortex, the key brain region responsible for emotional regulation, empathy, detecting social nuance, and flexible problem-solving. In other words, every time your baby laughs at your ridiculous dance moves, at the ceiling fan spinning wrong, or at absolutely nothing at all, they are not just having fun. They are literally wiring the neural hardware for lifelong resilience, creativity, social intelligence, and emotional flexibility. Those precious giggles are serious construction work happening right in front of your eyes, shaping the emotional architecture your child will carry into adulthood. So now I need to give you the important warning, because there is one. If you notice a baby who almost never laughs, especially in social contexts, or whose laughter seems unusually flat, forced, or directed only at objects rather than people, that is not something to casually dismiss as just a quiet baby. Reduced or atypical laughter in the first year is one of the earliest observable red flags that researchers associate with potential challenges in social communication and emotional processing. It doesn't automatically mean something is wrong. Every child develops on their own unique timeline, but pediatric neuroscientists are very clear. The brain's plasticity window is at its widest during the first 12 months of life. Early, playful, and responsive intervention during this period can make a dramatic and lasting difference. If the absence of those joyful, spontaneous bursts ever feels off to you, trust your parental instinct. You have been finely tuned to read your baby's signals since the very first hour they were born. The next time your little one suddenly cracks up at an empty wall, the spinning fan, or some invisible comedy show at 3 a.m., remember what is actually happening deep inside their developing mind. Their brain is running a live, high-speed simulation of the world, safely practicing surprise, testing emotional safety, and actively inviting you to join the game. 15,000 years of evolution didn't wire babies to produce those irresistibly infectious belly laughs by accident. Those giggles are the original social glue, the magical sound that turns two separate nervous systems into one synchronized, joyful, and deeply connected team. Every single time you laugh back with genuine delight, every time you lean in and make the silly moment even bigger, you are not merely entertaining your baby. You are actively building the strong foundation of their sense of humor, emotional intelligence, resilience, and their lifelong ability to find joy and meaningful connection even in an unpredictable world. If this changed how you hear the laughter filling your house at all hours, hit subscribe and drop a comment below. I want to know, what is the funniest nothing your baby has ever laughed at? Because now you know exactly why those magical moments happen. And if you want to understand why toddlers sometimes throw world-ending tantrums over something as small as a broken cracker, that's the next video. The neuroscience behind it is even wilder and more surprising than you think.